You sound like a real Southern doctor.
Really? I have no Southern accent whatsoever.
Dr. Tyrone Butler.
When you say it, like you had like a hard R on the end of my name. That sounds Southern when you say it like
Doctor.
that.
Yeah, you gotta say it like that. Put some respect on it.
Didn't know what was gonna happen, but thank God I'm still here. I was terrified.
Feel me? I know. Dr. Tyrone Butler.
When you say it, like you had like a hard.
Hey, Boujee Besties. Welcome to another episode of Living Boujee and Balanced. And today I have Dr. Tyrone Butler here in the flesh. And y'all, I met him like 3 years ago on Clubhouse. And so it's just so funny how life works because he actually ended up moving to Atlanta, Georgia. We were able to connect. He's attended different events, same events that I've gone to. And so it's just really cool to have like more friends in finance. And he's really, really smart. So instead of me introducing him, I'm gonna let him introduce himself because he is a doctor, so he has a whole big degree.
I make the degree sound like it's super fancy. Hey everybody, all of the Boujee Besties, that's what you call them, right? Boujee Besties. I like that.
Yeah.
It's like the alliteration and everything.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Butler. I like to go by the MD Investor, and my whole thing and our approach is to teach financial literacy to people in the healthcare industry. And I want people to really understand how finances can really be broken down to simple terms. And I'm super excited to be here to be able to help out and just, I don't know, have this interaction. I think it's dope.
Yeah.
Pick up again. So.
Thank you. Welcome to my studio.
It's
really
like
cool. Thank you. So I've been telling like the people, did you go to the Breakthrough Experience? Did you go?
No. When was it? Why are you making that face?
Interview's going to be short.
That's a lot of hate.
That was my conference. It was my conference.
I know. I messaged you directly and I was like, I wish I could go to your conference.
Oh.
I have to work. I have a contract.
All right. That's important. I forgive you. Well, anyway, this wall was the grass wall there, and the furniture out in the front came from there too. Just repurposed everything.
Repurposing it.
Even these lights. Yeah, these lights too. And this plant. And this.
I like the whole setup.
Thanks. Save money. So
you're like, this interview's over now. You're like, well, that was him.
That was he came. You saw him. Great. So wait, what type of doctor are you? I don't know if I've ever asked.
Hospitalist. I do internal medicine.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So basically, let's say if you're sick enough to go to the ED, you see an emergency medicine doctor. But if you're like actually sick enough to be admitted into the hospital, that's when I step in.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how many years of school did that take?
Like what, all my schooling or just to be in medicine? Like I'm not like, people will be like, oh, they count grade school. Like, so
yeah. Just
all
for
my
medicine.
schooling is 25 years, but if it's just medicine, it's like 14. So.
Yep.
The way that you paused, though, the way that you're like, oh, I wish I would. I wish I would.
When I tell you, let me tell you, okay, y'all, so I have my master's, right, which I'm really grateful to have. But honestly, I just got my master's to delay me paying on my undergrad, to be for real.
I can do that.
And I would have been done in my undergrad. I crawled past the finish line for that. I think I graduated my undergrad like a 2.6.
Oh, that's intense. That's good.
I barely made it. But then my master's, I finished with 3.8.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Mm-hmm. That's right, doctor. All right, so. Yeah, you know that.
Little flex.
Okay, so within this whole journey, I know like going to school is crazy expensive. It had to have been.
Yes.
So is that what got you into the whole finance space? Like where's the synergy with that?
Why did I get into finances? Because finance is a lot like, I would say like athletes. You know how athletes go to the league and all of a sudden they're starting to do like really ridiculous things? Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it is with medicine. So when you're doing your residency, during residency, I was making $40,000 a year. Mm. Then my first contracted job, I started making about $260,000 a year.
Okay, wow.
And then I was like, that's a huge jump. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, my very first year, I was working harder than I've ever worked in my life. And I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was broke, like unbelievably broke.
How do you... I'm gonna ask.
You're gonna ask.
I'm gonna ask. How did you end up... How How did you go from
Like,
40,000? Yeah, how did you go from 40,000 a year to 260 a year and still live paycheck to paycheck? What happened?
The math is different. So the thing is, a lot of times what we do as doctors is we get leverage. So people give us leverage and we use it incorrectly. So I'll give you an example. When I just finished medical school, when I just finished my medical residency, I got a job offer. The job offer was like, hey, you get an offer letter. So a lot of times, just like in athletics, like you'll get an offer letter to go work somewhere. They say, hey, we're going to pay you $250,000 or $260,000, whatever it is, and we're going to give you a sign-on bonus. And when you come work for us, this is what you'll be making. That letter is like certified gold at a bank, which means I can go to a bank and they will literally give me a loan for almost anything. So in this case, think about it. I've already have hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt because I've been in school. Yeah. They don't ask you for that while you're still training. They ask you for it once you're done. In this case, I moved to a new area. They were like, hey, you want to buy a house? And I'm like, of course I want to buy a house. I'm a doctor. I was like, instantly thought I was going to be like the Huxtables. I was all like, Trudy, you know, like, I was like, please bring us the golden jello pudding. I thought I was going to be mad rich, like, you know, because that number sounds crazy. Yeah. I grew up broke. So like when I tell my parents, I'm like, I'm making 200, they're like, bruh. Like, you know
we made it.
We thought we was moving up.
Yeah.
I got a house. But the thing is, I had no money in my pocket. I had nothing. Oh. So I was like, I was flat broke. I was like, I got this letter. They was like, you can have a house. I was like, I don't got a car either. They're like,
you can have a car.
They're like, you can have a car. I was like, cool. I was like, what about credit? They're like, whatever, you can have whatever you like. No. So I was like, cool. I got everything I needed. So I had a house. House had a mortgage. Mortgage had a PMI. Whatever it is, you know. So I'm like, okay, this is great. The money never touched my pockets until I physically worked, which means that, again, I didn't factor in taxes. I didn't factor in health insurance. I didn't factor in the fact that I had all these new bills that are coming up, and I just got this house. So every single month, I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just work a little bit harder. Yeah. Right? So I'm doing 12-hour, 16-hour, 18-hour days over and over and over again. And I thought, okay, this is a contracted salary, which means that I have to work the entire year before I see the actual money that they're giving me. You know what I mean?
So, oh man, so you had that, like, you saw what you would make on paper and instantly your lifestyle switched.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
the NBA effect.
Yeah, I jumped the gun a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. A lot of my colleagues do the same thing. Yeah. Like, I had my resident friend, he got his job, his contracted job, he had $300,000, so he was making more than me. First thing he did was buy a Maserati. So I was like, dang, that's a nice car. I thought the things I got were simple. I got like a Subaru, you know, and then I had a house, and it was a modest house. I didn't go buy a mansion.
I bet you're grateful for the Subaru after you figured out what was really going on.
Yeah, you get that Subaru.
Oh, did he keep the Maserati?
I actually don't know. No idea.
Did you keep the Maserati? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Oh, man, that's tough. Okay, so that was a huge wake-up call for you.
It was. It was to the point where I was like, after doing the same grueling job, to the point where I was literally depressed. And I was like, I was gaining weight. I was overweight. I was depressed. I was working literally like slave hours all the time. And at the end of the year, I saw my bank account, and I think I had maybe $400 or $500 in my bank account before I got paid next.
Making $260,000 a year.
Correct. So $260,000 a year after I'm paying taxes. So it ends up being about maybe $14,000, $13,000 per paycheck, and you're paid every 2 weeks. You're like,
I know some of y'all are like, if I had $14,000 per paycheck,
that's the thing. It sounds.
Give him the social media stare. Just be like, just do that to the screen. Go ahead.
You know how many people who make that much money live paycheck to paycheck?
Oh yeah, I know.
A strong amount of them. A lot of doctors I know live paycheck to paycheck, and they make $250 plus, $300 plus, and still live paycheck to paycheck.
And do you think that for the reason that you ended up in that position is the reason why a lot of doctors end up in that position?
Yes, I think so. A lot of them just don't have the information. They don't know about financial literacy whatsoever. So in this case, no one says, oh, that's a fantastic rate. You can have this house. Great. What's the interest rate? I don't know. I was just
you can have this house.
You can have this house. What's the interest rate on this car? I don't know, but you can have it. So when they were like, hey, here's a brand new car, you can have it. Interest rate's 9,000, APR is from 25%. Then all of a sudden I was all like, yeah, that's great. Then I like looked at it and I'm like, I've been paying off this house. I'm going to die in this house and I'm never even going to get a nicer house because I'm like, the interest alone is destroying me.
Yeah.
So it was super high. Then I had to make a huge change. I had to change everything in my life.
What was that like? Because like now, we're going to do a slight flex. Okay. He's far from living paycheck to paycheck now, y'all. Just want to clear that up. But I'll let him tell y'all. But the change, what did that look like for you? So what's the process? You made a decision. You was like, this isn't going to work. So what was that change like?
That was brutal. Mm-hmm. As a full-fledged doctor, I did something that almost no adult person ever wants to do. I sold my house. I quit my job. I got another job and I moved back home to California and I got a house with my parents. As an adult. I didn't want to be there when I was a kid.
Same.
When I was a kid, I was like, when I get my own house, I can't wait. And you know what? I'm going to have cake for breakfast. Do not have cake for breakfast, by the way. Terrible idea. Parents say no for a reason. But I just really thought that was going to be the case. And I moved back home. And I'm like, I'm an adult. And I still hear, did you clean your room? I'm like, you can't. I was like, it felt like Step Brothers. It was like, I didn't want salmon. I didn't want salmon.
Gosh, Mom.
More meatloaf. I was just like, but you know what? I changed everything. I cut my expenses to almost nothing. So in this case, this job I had next, I actually got a better contract. So I was making more. I negotiated the contract and then I started thinking about business. And I'm like, what can I do with this money to make it build money?
Yeah.
Because so far, everything I rely on is me. If something happens to me, it all falls apart.
Yeah.
So I was stacking everything on really one pylon. Like, it was just like a tower, but it was just, you ever play Jenga, right? Mm-hmm. Now you just do that. And I'm trying to stack this tower as high as possible, but anything can knock this down. Yeah. So in this case, I had to have more bases. I needed to bring more money in. I needed to do things where I don't physically have to go to work to make money. Yeah. If I had to show up, I'm the rate limiting step. I can only work so many hours.
Absolutely. So what did you do? So what are these bases?
So I started looking into anything, everything. And when I say I spent almost as much money as I spent going to med school on finding out things to invest in, I literally started investing in everything. And some people might think it's silly, but I don't care if it popped up on IG, if I researched it, anything. I'm like, okay, I want to learn about stocks. I want to learn about real estate. I want to learn about cars, transportation. I want to learn about IV hydration. I want to learn about any and everything. So if it had an opportunity, I put money into it.
But the key thing though is that you stacked away money to be able to go and explore these different investment vehicles. Correct. Right? So I just want to make sure I say this because there are a lot of people, who are living paycheck to paycheck right now, and they're on social media and they're just trying to, like, out of desperation, trying to figure out what to invest in. But you did it strategically. You decreased what your lifestyle looked like and worked on a job that paid you more, and then leveraged that income to be able to invest into different vehicles until you figured out which was the right investment vehicle for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of trial and error because that's how medicine works too. Yeah. It's like evidence-based medicine. It's like not all things will work. And believe me, I've been burned tons of times. I've probably lost hundreds of thousands of dollars just investing in different things to find out what works. But that thought process to me was, if ever I can get a return on my investment, it was a worthy investment.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't see how strong an investment is. So in this case, like, time is an investment. The right partner is an investment. What you eat is an investment. What you put in your body is an investment. You're investing in something. You just won't see the results until later. Yeah. So if we're sitting here eating donuts, you're like, those are really good donuts. But I'm like, it's not until the foot comes off 5 years later from the diabetes because I got a sweet foot.
Sweet foot.
It's South. That's what I keep being told. So people are like, I got the sweet foot. I'm like, that's when I'm realizing, I'm like, nope. You know what? Today is the kale day. And every day is the kale in the water. And that's when I actually started changing a lot.
Yeah.
This is how I started to find out and build my structure.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? This is when the core principles of financial literacy came into place. And once I solidified the core, now I actually started building a real foundation that I can scale upon.
So what are some of the things that you've invested into that built your financial empire? We'll call it that, because the foundation's set. It's an empire at this point.
So in this case, I did the trucking thing. Turns out that the trucking is so hands-on that I don't like actually being directly involved in it. So I had to find ways to create a system where I don't have to be involved. But trucking, real estate, the stock market, which I love, and of course I know you do, because I always be checking your page, and you always have the fire updates. And I'm like, let me go before I even hit CNN. Let me see what Boujee's gonna say.
Let's go.
Save me some time.
Yes.
She's like, y'all heard about Tesla? I'm like, go on. Like, let me see if she got something.
Yes, CNN. You heard that?
Right?
Just saying.
Give her her own channel.
I'm saying somebody.
But so I did the trucking. I do real estate. I also have stocks. I do crypto as well. I also do a lot of government contracting. But with that, it's more so business to business. So how I can offer something and fulfill a contract to where they're going to pay me directly as an entity. And
is that through your medical?
Today's episode is sponsored to you by Mastering Your Money Mindset, a self-discovery book written by the Boujee Banker to help you gain control over your money. Click the link below and get your copy today.
Book is not just a regular read, it's a workbook. It's kind of like financial therapy, and it allows you to dig deep. So it asks the type of questions like, what is your current relationship with money? What has it cost you? How have you been introduced? What was your parents' relationship like with money? All that type of stuff. So make sure you guys go check it out. It really makes you dig deep and kind of come to the conclusion and like be real with yourself when it comes to your spending habits and your money management.
Yes, correct. So I use my medical thing for that as much because it's very beneficial. So
Do y'all see how he did that glasses tilt when he said that? That's where them coins are.
You said the glasses.
She was like, yes, precisely. Indubitably. Absolutely. I was like, okay, that's cool. So you went through this whole transformational process. You created a significant change in your life, not only financially though, because when I met you, your lifestyle was different physically. You went through this huge shift. Like I would look at his stories and he's boxing and like doing all these other forms of like, like I didn't know what it was.
I love the sound effects though. He's feeling like Bruce Lee right now.
What were the forms of martial arts you were doing?
MMA and then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
See, I would not have known the names of those. Best I could do for y'all. But you lost a lot of weight.
It's on my to-do list. I want to compete in fighting as well.
Nice. And it's going to happen. Like once you become a to-do person, whatever you say you're going to do is going to get done. It's a matter of when.
Correct.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Correct.
So congratulations on it when it happens. Of course. So like you've gotten away. So you've become financially fit. Now you're becoming physically fit, right? It's a whole, I feel personally that.
Something crazy? Want to hear something crazy?
Yeah, sure.
At my biggest, I was about 545 pounds.
I was going to ask you that. Did you say it loud enough? Okay, let me see. So in this journey, I want to make sure you said it loud enough. So in this journey, like where did you start? Where did you start with the weight loss?
That was when I was working my first job as an attendant. I was really depressed and super obese, and I was just not getting it done. I was about 545 pounds at my biggest. And then I was like, nah, I was like, I have little ones. I got to chase them around. And I was like, I can't catch a 2-year-old. This is impossible.
I mean, that 2-year-old was like,
I was like, yeah, it wasn't even no and one moves. It was just like straight up like I'm just gonna run to the end of the mailbox, and I'm like,
no.
I was like, this not it.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to be here for them, and that longevity requires health. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, they need wealth. They have to have things for generations. But I'm like, I can't even be here long enough to build the building blocks. I'm gonna get taken out by the fact that I'm gonna get sugarfoot too.
Don't do that to your wife. Do not do that to your wife.
I had to get myself on track.
And congratulations on the new baby.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Shout out to the wife. Yes. That is awesome. So, you've done like a 180 on your life.
Yeah, I put in a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if you put the right energy into everything, the energy will continue to propel you and move you forward. So I thought that this was the way to go, and this is the way to build and give an example. So.
And I think you're doing a great job of that. And I know you listed some of the things that are in your empire, but there was one thing that you did not list, which I know you've been working on for a while now.
I'm listening.
Huh?
I'm listening. I'm like, I'm intrigued.
Is it? So, y'all, for those who don't know, he also has a financial literacy, right?
Yes.
How'd you forget about that? You forgot about it.
No, I didn't. I was like, I'm trying not to do a non-compete, right?
A non-compete? Boy, he's like, no, just wait. No. Okay, so, no, but you can't. We have two different audiences.
We do. We're not in the same niche.
We're not.
We're on the same team, though.
Yes.
Same
There's no competing. I want to know about it. Okay, so, pop my knuckle. All right, so you have something that you did not list. You list the trucking, you list the real estate, you list the stocks, you list the crypto, you list, what else am I missing? Government contracts.
Yes. So
what's the next one?
The platform.
Yes.
Is an educational platform. So my platform is for teaching people about financial literacy. When I say people, I mean people in the healthcare industry mostly. Because again, like I was saying earlier, like a lot of doctors, we don't get financial education. So we're 14 years of school. Not anyone taught me how to budget. If someone would have said, hey, when you get that check, pay attention.
Yeah.
I did not pay attention. What looked like it was coming in never matched what was going out.
I have so many travel nurses that are my one-on-one clients because they make so much. Like one of my, there's a travel nurse that I'm working with now, and she was like, we don't have the money from the recession and all, whatever, like the post-pandemic stuff. They don't have that pay anymore, she was saying. So she was like, I'm only getting paid $900 a day. And I was like, oh.
You're like, oh,
that's
baby,
it. That's all you're getting paid is $900 a day. But I'm just like trying to sound so unfazed on the phone, because if I'm thinking about, now I have women in my community who I work with, and for them that's $900 a week.
It's a huge difference.
It's a huge difference. And so the fact that you have created this space where you've recognized, okay, well, if this is a common factor between other medical professionals, then something needs to be done.
Correct.
So I love that you did that. That's amazing.
So like even my mom's a nurse as well, and I'm like, we weren't like just balling, but nurses make good money. Mm-hmm. And you think about it, $900 a day versus $900 a week. That's a huge difference. And then people were like, if I made that much a day, I'm not going to tell you what I make a day, but in this case, like people would say, if I made that much a day, I'd be able to do this, this, and this, and this. But I'm like, you change the way you act. You think differently. Yeah. If I made $900 a week, I'm not going to Whole Foods. That's not about to happen. Right. I'm not, getting lobster and shrimp, but doctors do that. Mm-hmm. They'll be like, I'm a doctor. I make this type of money. That's when they're starting to buy Chanel bags, and they're starting to do all these things for their partners, and they want these new cars and stuff. But the issue is they're doing all of this on credit.
So it's just too soon. Too much too soon.
Correct. And when the credit's due, it's due. Yeah. And even some of the other doctors, they're scared to retire.
And then taxes. I think like a lot of the travel nurses, to my understanding, they pay taxes they choose to pay taxes on the back end. So they end up owing.
Most of them do. Yeah. And a lot of them depend. So depending on when you travel, because I do travel medicine a lot as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're traveling to different states, you have to pay taxes in the states you travel through. Mm. So like, let's say, for example, I have licenses in multiple states. So if I'm working in California, I have to pay California taxes. If I'm working out in Nevada or Detroit, whatever I'm working, I have to pay taxes for that state as well. Mm. Everyone wants their money. So in this case, you have to situate yourself extremely intelligently. And a lot of people don't do that. They get their money in bulk and then how to do things in bulk, especially with nurses. I know you hear me. I'm not coming for you, but I know a lot of travel nurses love to actually travel. Y'all go to like Costa Rica and stuff like that every 2 weeks and stuff. You don't be budgeting. Y'all love to travel. You're like, I'm going to Tulum with my girls. All of a sudden, that $900 a day just disappeared. I know you do it. All of you do. You always say it.
They're over there feeling real seen. Travel nurses have the best Instagram feeds ever.
Yeah,
y'all do. Like, y'all always eating the best food. Like, nails always done, skin always glowing for some reason. I'm like, man,
the best hair extensions on the planet.
everything. And it's okay. I'm not hating. I'm happy for you. You know, you did the schooling, you put in the work, you did the time. But now it's just, let's do this in a responsible, balanced way, right? Like, don't do it all on credit. That's the message.
Exactly. Let's make it make sense.
Let's make it make sense. So you have how many streams of income right now?
9.
You said what now?
About 9 or so.
Okay, so he has 9 streams of income. There's a statement from someone, I can't remember, but they said that the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So you are outpacing what the average millionaire has in streams of income. But you wrote a book and it's in the editing process right now.
Yes, I wrote several actually. So that's why when you said,
what the heck?
I was like, I wrote several.
I did this off of your bio. This is off of your bio. Is that old?
Is a bio old?
Yeah.
No, I just keep pushing though. So I have one out and I have one coming. So
okay, so tell us about the book that's out and then tell us about the book that's coming.
So I have one that's on the core principles of financial literacy. So that's basically telling people my story about what happened when I started struggling and what principles I needed to learn. So I broke those down to 6 core principles. And then once you know those principles, you can build off of anything. So they're not a secret. They're very basic ideas, but you just have to implement them. Should I say them? I should say them. I feel like I should.
You should say them.
I feel like I should.
Now let's start with the title.
Yes.
What are the 6 basic principles?
6 core principles.
Okay, go ahead.
6 core principles of financial literacy.
Let's do it.
Right. So,
there you go. Let them know. Yeah, but you got to look. What are the 6 core principles of financial literacy?
So these are the 6 things that I discovered were an issue when I was trying to manage my finances. Because when it comes to building, you have to have the proper structure. If you don't have a solid foundation, it's going to be trash. So the first principle that you have to have is understanding where money is coming from. So all the money has to be coming in from somewhere. So does that make sense? So it's going to be your earning. So the first principle is earning. Know what's coming where, and then also spending. You have to know where it's going. So that's the first 2 principles. Between those 2 principles, you'll end up getting budgeting.
Yeah.
So obviously, once you know where your money's going and you give it a very particular assignment, you will know. Now, keep in mind, the core principles are broken into 2 categories. The first category is just about surviving. This doesn't teach you how to get wealthy. It doesn't teach you how to quit your job. It doesn't teach you to walk away from work. Nothing like that. Once you understand the first 3 of these basic things, this teaches you how to survive. That's like going to the beach and like, the beach is beautiful, right? It's amazing. You love the view. But if you're out in the water and you're drowning, it ain't so pretty.
Right.
When you're just trying to keep your head above water, it's not a beautiful view.
Right.
But when you're on the beach with that cocktail and you're enjoying the sun and the sand,
on Tulum,
down in Tulum with your travel nurse check, that's when it counts, right?
Absolutely.
And that's where the second category is. That's when you start thriving. And in order to thrive, you have to know, 1, how to invest, 2, how to borrow, and 3, how to protect. Once you start learning how to invest, that's where you're going to increase your earning. All of these things are looped together. They're all connected, right? So the more you start investing, the more you start earning. The more you start earning, the more you can start spending. The more you start spending, the better your budget will be. And as you do that, you can also start using the ability to borrow. Because when you don't need it, that's when people want to give it to you. You go to the bank begging for money, no one's going to give you nothing.
Absolutely.
Right? You go to the bank bank with like a 400 credit score, and you're like, I just need a little bit of credit.
When you actually need it.
When you need it, no one wants to give it to you. When you don't need it, that's when they throw it at you.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right? So that's when I get those bank offers. They're like, wouldn't you like to buy a new car? And I'm like, I'm okay right now. They're like, please buy a new car. I'm like, I'm good for today.
Yeah.
But once you start borrowing will help your investing, because then we're starting to create good debt, not negative debt. Because a lot of us have negative debt and we're used to it. And then a lot of people in healthcare, we become debt-abetic. So it's like not being diabetic where it's an issue with sugars, but we're so comfortable with debt. School costs this much, school costs that much. Yeah. Everything costs so much. When you get hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, you start thinking, you're like, what's another 10 grand? Throw it on the pile. So all of a sudden, that credit card that has $30,000, $40,000 on it, $10,000 on it, why does it matter if it's maxed out? You're going to earn it eventually anyway. Just throw it on the pile.
Wow.
So we just end up just having a huge debt pile that we're like, well, eventually we'll
eventually.
Yeah, but that's incorrect borrowing.
Yeah.
We're borrowing for the creation of generational wealth. We're borrowing against assets. We're borrowing against life policies. We're borrowing to create wealth.
Yeah.
That's a different ballgame.
That's a different ballgame.
Dr. Butler, thank you so much for spending time.
Of course.
I definitely appreciate it. You have a wealth of knowledge, and it's not just from your personal experiences. You guys, he went into his career with a high income. But what we have quickly learned through this interview is that just because your income is at a certain amount doesn't mean that you're still not going to find yourself living paycheck to paycheck. So I, have come from a position where I lost my job. And so I was forced to figure it out. And through that, I was able to really grow a successful brand. But if you're still at your job and you still have a steady source of income, you can leverage what you have to build wealth. And it doesn't matter what your income looks like, whether you're in the medical field, whether you're, working just a standard 9 to 5, make a plan, stick to it. And at the core, all of the things are the same, right? Understand your relationship with money. Have a budget, know what's coming in, know what's going out, and then from there create a plan so that you can grow the money that you had. And that's exactly what he did, right? And so he had to give up everything in order to start over. I think that's absolutely amazing. So
appreciate you.
Thank you for your transparency.
Of course.
Thank you for your riches to rags to riches story.
You said like I started off balling.
you start off $260,000 a year.
It sounds like so much. It really does, but in reality, it doesn't go that far.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
You just got to make sure you know how to use it.
I feel like
celebrities do the same thing.
Yeah, they do, and I feel like you're in a different world. I feel like medical field is a different world. I would like to play a this or that game with you.
Okay, sure. Okay.
It's time to play
this or that.
You have to go very quickly. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Stocks or real estate investments?
Stop.
Quickly. Starting a new business venture or acquiring an existing business?
Acquiring.
Long-term investments or short-term investments?
Long-term. Investing
in a diversified portfolio or focusing on a specific industry?
Diversified.
Okay. High risk, high reward investments or low risk, stable investments?
Low risk.
Investing in individual stocks or index funds?
Index.
Building wealth through active income or passive income?
Passive.
Investing in your own business or investing in other companies?
That's a trick question. Oh, it's my own.
Okay. Investing in emerging markets or established markets?
Established.
Pursuing financial independence or leaving a financial legacy for future generations?
Legacy.
Cool. Thank you so much for playing.
I was like, why was that hard? I didn't think it was going to be hard.
You did great. I don't have any right or wrong answers, so good job.
That's what's up.
Thank you for spending time with me today. This is amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Please tell everybody where they can find you.
I am at the MD Investor on my IG, and my platform is themdinvestor.com.
Yep, and you guys can find all of that in the description box below. Be sure to follow Dr. Tyrone Butler, aka the MD Investor. Subscribe to his podcast. He also has a YouTube channel, right?
I do.
And make sure that you follow him on all his social platforms. Until next time, besties. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
Didn't know what was going to happen, but thank God I'm still here. I was terrified.
Feel me?
What?
I know. Dr. Tyrone Butler.
When you say it, like, you had like a hard...
Didn't know what was going to happen, but thank God I'm still